Que hola, how's everybody doing? ¿Cómo están? Acuérdense, están en Miami, no speak Spanish, don't talking to me, in Miami, ¿ok?
Ok, esta es una pelea de una semana muy especial, muy grande para ti. Now, hey, Jorge, Fight Week in Miami, man. Star of the sport, been in big fights, but Fight Week in Miami, does this one feel a little bit extra special for you?
In so many ways, Angles. I feel redundant saying this, but I was here at that UFC event live, my first live event ever 20 years ago. I was 17, about to turn 18, so that means I could become a professional. So I didn't know all the details of it, but I knew what this lifestyle would entail, you know. And I was at the event. The nostalgia of seeing all these fighters I've been fucking dissecting and studying since I'm 11, 12 years old, because that's when the sport caught a hold of me and consumed me. So it took a while, and then after that left all that euphoria, and I was able to like analyze what was happening and the speed and the techniques and the movement and the endurance. I looked over to my boy and I said, man, not only can I do this, but I'll bring the show eventually one day here. That eventually took 20 years, so it took me a little bit, but we're here. And a month after that, UFC coming here to Miami, I literally turned professional, had my first bout. 50-something fights later, and 20 years, I'm still here, you know. So I can't totally describe what it feels like, but at the same time, I can't let that get to my head because it's just another fight, you know. When I went into Korea and I got in a plane and I went to a hotel and I fought, it was the same thing that I'm gonna do now. If I let myself get ahead of myself and start thinking all this other stuff, things, you know, might not go as well. So I just gotta stay cold, calculated, and violent.
That's kind of what I want to ask you about next. I mean, is that almost a challenge for you, right? Because I know you want to, you want to balance your time out here, right? I mean, you're a star here. You want to give people a show. You got business. I mean, you got a lot going on in Miami, right? And I know you want to soak this moment in also, but is it almost difficult to strike that right middle balance to make it just another fight?
I'm just greedy, man. You know, the last like month I've been extra greedy. I'm sure everybody's gonna be like, I could imagine, but believe me, you can't imagine how many ticket requests. People everywhere, you know, it's a lot, and the show hasn't come here in 20 years, so it's a lot. There's not even fans of mine, just fans of the sport that live here, that are combat addicts like me. Like, thank you for bringing the show here, you know, blah blah blah. So it's a lot, but at the same time, I'm just selfish right now. It's just I gotta fight, and that's it, you know. Whether it was in England, Russia, South Korea, it's a fight, you know, and that's what I'm there to do.
As far as what Gilbert presents in the cage, I mean, we know what his game is. I mean, I guess where do you rank him in terms of the dangers that he presents to you, and how challenging is this matchup for you?
Definitely a beast on the ground. He's not the best at getting the fight to the ground, and definitely hits hard and throws with like bad intentions. But he's not the best at setting it up. He's not the best at making traps, at playing with the distance, at really jotting down at that distance. So I would rank him dangerous in both the stand-up and the ground, but also at the same time a very fitting style for myself, you know.
Nice. Last thing for me, I mean, obviously there's a lot of talk about the welterweight title picture. I mean, are you letting yourself think about that at all, or do you have to be careful not to? Because obviously you have a great history with the champion. It would be a phenomenal matchup, but we kind of know which way Dana has mentioned. I mean, are you thinking about that whole scenario as you enter this fight week?
I never underestimate anybody that has 2 hands and 2 feet, but I don't stop thinking about also that after this fight, I'm going to England. I'm going to use that belt to beat it over Leon's head and then come back to this great country and defend that belt. So it's not something that I don't think of. It's in the back of my mind, definitely. But first is Gilbert. Eliminate him in an impressive fashion, and there'll be talk of nobody else fighting for nothing else but me, you know. Last I checked, UFC's a pay-per-view selling business. Bitch-ass Colby ain't never broke 300,000 pay-per-views in his life except when he fought me. Leon's not a pay-per-view draw. All of a sudden, what, they're just putting on events to put him on? I don't think so, you know. So as long as I do my job Saturday, everything else will fall into place.
Jorge, you're a promoter now, so were you kind of surprised as a promoter that Dana was so adamant Colby's getting the next shot before this fight had even played out? Because he could say, well, we'll have to see, and then that builds this fight even more.
I think they're just setting the pedestal way higher for me, man. They just want me to do some epic-ass game-bred Miami shit, you know, on Gilbert's face, and then that's it, you know. The tidal wave of that night is gonna foreshadow anything else that I think is going on. You know, obviously I'm gonna be rooting and advocating for myself over everybody, especially this fucking cop-culling, cupcake-eating ass bitch, but, you know, that's whatever.
It's kind of a weird one, right? Because here we are, we're talking about, hey, spectacular knockout, title shot. But then you said yourself in the Countdown show that, hey, if you can't beat Gilbert, that might sort of show where you are in the sport currently. So would you consider this a crossroads fight, or would you consider this a stakes are high fight? What are you looking at this fight as?
It's not no diss on Gilbert or nothing. I just feel like throughout my whole career I would always match up very well with him, and at any point in my career I could beat this guy. Stylistic, you know, of course, and I am coming off 3 losses. You know, one of those losses had rather interesting circumstances. I took a fight in 6-day notice. I flew all the way to Abu Dhabi. I lost 20 pounds. And I'm not taking that away from Usman because he still beat me and he still had to prepare for me in just 6 days. So it's not that I don't take that one into credit, but it's also like those were interesting circumstances. And then I suffered 2 more losses after that. So if I suffer a 4th, it's a lot of evaluation has to take place. So I'm not going in there thinking this is my last fight. But, you know, with the emotions running and all this and that and 4 losses in a row, you know, I've also been in the sport 20 years. I got 50-something fights. I got more knockouts than these guys got fights. You know, you could go look at my record. I think I got like 17 knockouts right now. A lot of these guys are barely reaching 12, 13 fights, and they're in the UFC in the top 5. So it's a rather long journey, and, you know, my body does have a lot of wear and tear on it. You know, whether I get on the microphone and talk about it like these other bitches do, and this is hurting in my knees, this, that. I got the same injuries. It's just I'm a man. I'm going to keep it to myself. And plus, I'm not going to expose it to the world for the world to know what's wrong or right, you know. I just feel that I just got to go out there and do my job Saturday.
Yeah. Curious what your take is on Kamaru Usman and where he's at.
And by the way, to rephrase Morgan, I currently got 3 felonies because this bitch Colby says I gave him a brain injury. So how the fuck is he going to fight for any title is what I want to know. You know, like how could you, the UFC's going to get sued if that guy goes in there and something like that happens, right? Because supposedly, allegedly, as I didn't do shit, he says I gave him a brain injury. I didn't do shit, though.
I wanted to ask you about that. There was a lot of allegeds about that day. Allegedly, you were wearing a COVID mask. Is that true?
Everybody knows I don't wear no COVID mask. So there we go. That's bullshit right there, bro. Allegedly,
it couldn't have happened.
Allegedly this, allegedly that.
Right here. Do you think it would be wise if Colby went to the fights on Saturday?
Of course, man. He's a attention-seeking ass whore. He's going to be there. He's going to, you know, from 100 feet away and 20 security guards, he's going to be saying all types of crazy shit that he's the king of this and that. But he's only the king of calling cops and sucking cock, so, you know.
Well, we asked him if he would be there when he was giving an interview in London. He said, maybe I won't be there. So do you even think he would be allowed to enter the arena?
I don't give a flying fuck, you know. All I know is that he has a restraining order on me. I have to stay 100 feet from this individual. Still, I don't even know why, you know, why he would put such a thing on me, because I'm like the coolest guy, you know. So I'm like, my mind is still blown of why he has a restraining order on me. And then he's claiming he's the king of I don't know what, but whatever.
And it's been the first time we've got to speak to you since Game Bred Boxing. So as the promoter, how did everything go? Smoothly?
Amazing. From top to bottom, amazing. You know, it's the fruition of seeing the card up here in my head, because it all starts up here, you know. Me and my team start dissecting, saying who's going to fight who, this and that. Then it actually gets materialized into paper, and then these contract bouts get sent out, and then actually the card comes to full fruition where it's live to see, and these fights are taking place. It's just mind-blowing. It's fucking mind-blowing. A lot of these fights were better than I thought in my own mind, and obviously I'm going to be rooting for the fights to be at their best, and a lot of these fights exceeded my own expectations, so great event. You know, it's our 4th boxing event. I think it took off amazingly. I just want to open up these doors and platforms so all these up-and-coming, young fighters to come get their money and their shine on.
What did you make of Anthony Pettis beating Roy Jones Jr.? I don't think many people saw that coming.
It's like, it's tough, you know. I could have called it the Pettis or Roy. I felt like Roy landed some good shots. Pettis was definitely more active and landed some great body shots. It was a tough one to call. But yeah, I leaned towards Pettis. I was okay with the decision as well. You know, it was a great decision. Crazy, right? Anthony Pettis beating Roy Jones Jr. Obviously, it's not Roy Jones Jr. of, you know, Roy Jones Jr., you know, because ain't nobody beating that guy. But it was still interesting to see how is this guy that's never boxed going to do against the greatest talent that ever stepped in boxing, Roy Jones Jr.
And to kind of look further down this card, you said you wanted to kind of open doors for these young fighters. Raul Rosas is fighting at the kickoff the pay-per-view. He's 18, 19 years old. He wants to be UFC champion by the time he's 20. So what advice would you give to him as someone that's so young in his career? Train. Just when you think you trained a lot, just train some more. Forget about the world. Forget about the outside shit. Like, you know,
This sport is very, very demanding, and the only way you fly in this sport is like staying in shape. And how you stay in shape in this sport is not by putting Instagram posts or doing this and that. It's about getting after it. You know, you're in the gym in the morning, in the midday, the night. You find some time to do recovery in between that, and then you repeat that the next day, and then the next day, and the next day, and then you cross your fingers and you hope that all this hard work you put in pays off in the fight. And even then, that's not guaranteed. You know, so it's just, man, put your hard head on, put your mouthpiece on, and get to work.
And then this past weekend, it was announced Endeavor bought the majority rights to the WWE. So now WWE and UFC are kind of together. That's a world that you, maybe not WWE, but you had your hand in some professional wrestling. What did you make of that news?
I love it. I think it just opens more doors for both. You know, guys over there like Brock Lesnar type cases, you know, my boy AJ Ferrari, guys like that. And then fighters that maybe are done fighting and they want to go over there and earn a paycheck. Hopefully that it's a smooth avenue and there's no like barricades like, no, you're this and you're this. Hopefully it's just, you know, if it makes sense and it fits, they make it happen. And I love it because fighting is not, it's not the easiest way to earn your living, you know, out of all the jobs in the world. You know, two guys are going to walk in and only one guy's going to win. And the guys that win more often, they'll get a little bit of money, but not guaranteed money either that you're going to be set for life. A lot of these guys, when they're done fighting, they have to pick up jobs. They have to do something else after, whether it be a coach or own a gym or whatever it is that they were doing before fighting. So for them to have that avenue that now be able to fight, and hopefully the UFC and Endeavor can make it easy for them to transition once they're too old to compete and fighting and go into WWE, the right guys that could make the fit in the right girls, I love it.
Final one for me, how do you see the main event playing between Izzy and Alex?
Man, I'm a fan of both. I've always liked Izzy's style, man, the way that he moves, the way he fights, the way he carries himself in there. But Pereira's like the Terminator from hell, bro. Like, this guy just doesn't take fucking no for an answer. He has unreal fucking power. And it's hard to bet on Izzy because he's lost 3, and 2 of them are by knockouts. It wasn't like, you know, a lot of them are competitive. One of them I did think was highly competitive in the kickboxing match. So that being said, I feel like they just fought 2, like, last week, you know, so is that still fresh in Izzy's mind? Can he put himself in the right spot? I think he can, because Izzy's a hell of a competitor, man, and he shows up and does his thing. But conventional wisdom would say I'm going to lean with Pereira, you know.
Well, kind of going off of the quick turnaround, you had said you thought maybe Usman came back too soon after getting the head kick. Do you think Izzy's coming back too soon after getting knocked out?
I think Izzy's a special talent, you know. But yeah, a big part of me does believe that, you know, and I come, my trainers are a little bit more old school where they want you to take a minimum of 6 months to a year after a knockout loss to let your brain heal, let your mind get right, let your spirit get back in the right place. So I don't know, you know, I would say a little bit early, but Izzy's Izzy, man. He's the dude that if somebody's going to do it, it's probably going to be him.
Jorge over here. Mr. 305, man,
Yes,
what's
sir.
up?
What's up,
Sports
man?
betting legalization in Florida has been a huge topic. Curious on your take and whether it's something that needs to get legalized in Florida.
Online betting?
Sports betting in general.
I think so, right? Like, why not? You know, I think they're probably just working out the kinks on how to tax who, what, and where, and that shit will be up and running for everybody. It just makes sense. I mean, it's part of the culture.
Facts. Speaking of betting, you're the biggest underdog you've been, and
Yes,
you're in
sir.
front of your hometown in Miami.
Yes, sir.
Do you embrace this opportunity as the underdog?
Oh, we're going to clean Vegas out, you know. And by we, I mean all of you, because I can't bet on that, as we all know. But a lot of you motherfuckers are going to clean Vegas out. It won't be the first or the last time I clean Vegas out. I've cleaned them out many fucking times and cashed out. Not me, but individuals. So we're going to clean fucking Vegas's clock right now. And I love to do it, man, because they're the pros and I'm just some Joe, right? So let's do it.
And last one. Drake has been known to put some big money bets on you. Have you heard anything about him betting on you again this weekend?
I heard he betted his soul. I'm joking, man. I don't know. I have no idea. Drake does put massive bets, man. And I love it that he shows that support and that he would even like broadcast it like, hey, man, my money's on so-and-so, because there's nothing more real than put your money where your mouth is, right? So shout out to Drake for ever believing in me and thinking of me and just the amount of exposure I get from him watching my fight and placing on me. It's crazy, man. Yes, sir.
Jorge, back here. A couple questions in Spanish, do you know?
Sí, señor.
Bueno, estamos aquí en Miami, aquí se habla español. ¿Cómo te sientes? Si tuvieras que describir las sensaciones que tienes en este momento por pelear en Miami, ¿con qué sensación lo describiría?
Bipolar, sería la primera palabra, mi hermano. Tengo que ser un asesino frío como he sido mi vida entera. Cuando he ido a Japón, cuando he ido a Costa Rica, cuando he peleado en todas las partes del mundo que yo he peleado, no importa quién ha estado enfrente, lo único que importa es la persona que está enfrente mía y las emociones como yo la controlo. Una gran parte de eso es haciendo esto ahora cuando yo peleé el sábado. La otra parte es, tengo que dar un show para la ciudad mía, pero tengo que hacerlo a través de peleando y mantenerme frío como un asesino. Como te dije, bipolar son las emociones.
¿Cómo esperas que sea ese recibimiento de la arena? ¿Estás emocionado por lo que puede representar la gente? Una arena que te viene prácticamente a apoyar a ti, porque si bien Gilbert también vive aquí en Florida, no se compara el hecho de que te criaste aquí, que saliste de la calle de Hialeah y ahora estás aquí en la arena más importante de la ciudad.
No se compara absolutamente en nada. Eso va a ser como 9 años y el 4 de julio combinado con un poco más, la gente va a aprender el cielo. Y yo creo que se van a ver loco, va a ser como una bomba, fue estallada ahí. Y eso me va a encantar, yo voy a coger toda esa energía, la voy a absorber, pero como un caballo, voy a tener mis blinders on y a competir.
Ya para terminar, hubo mucha gente que en las redes sociales, sobre todo la comunidad latina, que se vio quizás afectada sentimentalmente cuando dijiste que esta podía ser quizás tu última oportunidad o que si perdías quizás podías ya call it a quit. ¿Qué le dirías a toda esa gente que en las redes sociales se hizo sentir, que estaba quizás triste, salió esa parte sentimental de la fanaticada, bueno, quizás por creer que puede ser tu última pelea en el UFC?
En primero, yo adoro a mi comunidad latina porque ganando o perdiendo es lo que más duros estaban conmigo. Desde el patio fueron los que me encontraron y estaban conmigo y decían, ese es el gallo, los otros sean de Centroamérica, de Sudamérica, del Caribe. La gente que más me ha apoyado y me sigue apoyando y una gran parte de mi carrera, que yo estoy aquí en Miami mismo, en el show es por mi comunidad latina. Me siento como que tengo que hacer mucho para esta pelea y esto no viene sobre noche ni hace un mes, yo me vengo preparando para este combate nomás 4 o 5 meses para darle todo lo que yo tenga. Y los comentarios que me voy a retirar, bueno, tengo 3 perdidas seguidas, si fuera la cuarta tengo que evaluar mucho de mi carrera, de mi físico, de mi mente. Yo me siento mejor que cualquier otra pelea llegando a este momento, pero al fin del día la pelea es lo que cuenta. Diciendo eso también, mi gente también no puede ser muy egoísta. Tengo 20 años en la carrera, tengo 52 peleas, tengo más knockouts que esta gente tiene en peleas. Si tú ves el récord mío, tengo como 17 knockouts. Y entre las 5 mejores, 10 mejores del mundo, esta gente ni tienen 17 peleas. El día que eso venga yo voy a llorar más que cualquiera, el que más afectado va a estar yo, pero yo sé que mi comunidad latina va a estar conmigo en las próximas cosas que yo haga y eso va a ser promoviendo las peleas, encontrando el próximo Jorge Masvidal y exponiéndolo al mundo. Cuando el día ese venga, que no va a ser abril 8, porque yo lo sé, lo siento en mi corazón, será un día difícil para todos los otros, pero mi gente latina siempre va a estar conmigo, pero yo te prometo, abril 8 no me estoy retirando.
Gracias. Suerte,
sí,
hermano.
señor. Gracias, hermano. Bendiciones.
Jorge, looking
Hermano.
good. I want to ask you, Jorge, there you go. This is Miami, right? This is your home city. You had told me that, at some point maybe this was a dream and it could have not happened. You've been fighting for a really long time. It's finally here.
Really long time.
As you mentioned, 50 plus fights. And I just want to know, how refreshing is it to get this at this point of your career? It almost feels like a shot of energy, right? A shot of cafecito. I see it in your face. You look happy. You look very at home.
As we answered the first question, part of me has been getting ready for this one fight for 20 years, I still remember when I was that young boy, 17, and I want to do this for the rest of my fucking life. I was already competing. I was already an amateur. I already had numerous grappling matches, boxing matches, kickboxing matches, and I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I had the backyard fights already. I was like, I know I could do this and at this level. It took 20 years to get ready for this level, and I couldn't be in a better place. I couldn't imagine being in a better place. Truly, I fought in MSG and President Trump was cage side. The Rock was giving me the belt. My favorite action star and my favorite fighter of all time, Roberto Duran, walked out with me. And it was like insane nostalgia. Like the emotions that I had running there were amazing. But I kept all that in check until after the fight. After the fight, I let all that hit me. Before the fight, it was just like, it's another fight, bro. If it's here or if it's in Pluto, it's a fight, right? That's what I signed up for. Boom, let's go. And that's the same thing here. It's very bipolar, my emotions, that I'm keeping myself in check, but at the same time, I'm in Miami, you know?
Yeah. And you're a man on a mission, obviously, but how much has Miami, like, added, you know, as far as motivation and all that? Because you are fighting in front of your people.
Insane. I mean, I run, you know, I go do my road work. It's like people are literally pulling over their cars. I fucking love you. You fucking kill this motherfucker. Don't call. It's nuts. It's nuts. So now the running has taken places in places where I can't be seen running, stuff like that. If I go to the corner store to get something to drink, it's like everybody from the clerk, you know. So it's just motivation, you know. On these days that I don't feel like running these miles at night, and it's the last session of the day, I don't want to run, and I run into somebody, and they like start spilling their guts to me. Like, man, I used to weigh. I got like a couple letters that like really touched my heart, but one of them, this individual lost 80 pounds, man. And he told me that everything was inspired by me. And he had sent me these messages, and we were talking to Instagram. He didn't tell me anything. He just showed up to one of my gyms one day, and he's like, look, this is me. I want to show you this is a real deal. And the dude said that I helped him get through depression through the videos that I put up on YouTube and seeing from where I came from where I'm at. He's like, I lost 80 pounds, showed me all the pictures, everything. It was like, fuck, man, if I could inspire you to do that, I got to inspire myself to do something greater, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, it's Miami, Leon Edwards is champion. I mean, it almost seems like the stars are aligning here for you to, like, deliver something great and even surpass, special, right, Colby Covington in the whole title run. Do you like all that? Do you feel like this is almost like being a story being built up here ahead of Saturday?
Those things about Colby fighting Leon, those are rumors. That dude has a brain injury, like I said, so he's claiming, you know. I got 3 felonies on my head because this guy's saying I have a brain injury. So I'm pretty sure that, like, on a medical level, you can't fight if you have a brain injury, you know. So like always, this guy's like full of shit, and I'm no doctor or nothing, but whatever, right? I feel like, yeah, the stars are aligned in many different ways, but not just because of what I just mentioned, but because, shit, man, the way things went down, the way my training has been leading up to this camp. There's a lot of mile markers I set up for myself because I want to see, man, maybe I don't have it anymore. I'm coming off 3 losses, so I put a nice, rigorous training before the fight even got announced, just to like, hey, can I meet these goals? When I used to be 22 years old, I could run a mile like this. Can I beat it? Can I do that? And numerous markers I checked off on the list. Then I got myself closer to the fight. I'm 8 weeks away now. I'm in the gym more, been doing like general conditioning. And my sparring partners, and you guys all know where I train at American Top Team, where we have studs from top to bottom. Grant Dawson, Johnny Eblin have been my main staples for the sparring partner. If anybody knows these guys, they know that these guys are fucking vicious. In Don's one of the better grapplers. He's currently 7-0 right now, or 7-1 draw, 7 wins. Johnny Eblin, the world champion, undefeated at middleweight in Bellator, and we've been beating the fuck out of each other. And they said it to me like, this is the best camp I've ever felt you. So from a spiritual, physical, mental place, I feel like I'm in the best spot of my life. You know, all the tools that I've been working on are clicking in right now.
Lastly, you versus Leon, biggest fight that can be possibly made at 170?
Oh, definitely, you know. I mean, unless Connor's bitch ass came to 70, but that midget ain't coming up to fight me. It goes without saying, me and Leon sell pay-per-views, you know. Leon and Usman, what did that do? Those numbers ain't even out because they're so shitty, I heard, you know. And it's just, you know, they're both great fighters and great tacticians and stuff, but they don't risk it for the biscuit all the time. And fans, you know, like, okay, you know, you're kind of playing it safe. You're doing the distance thing or you're doing the hugging thing and just sniffing nuts. Fans don't want to pay that shit, you know. Somebody that's a construction worker that busts his ass every day of his life, come Saturday, they want to get distracted. They want to forget about all their problems and worries. They don't want to see 2 guys just fucking hugging each other or staring at each other. So when you add me into the mix, you know, win or lose, I'm going to try to take somebody's soul with me and entertain the fuck out of you. That's the only reason why I sell pay-per-views. It's not because nothing else, you know. Yes, sir.
Fighting for UFC, game-bred boxing, game-bred MMA, game-bred everything. What do you enjoy most about your life right now?
Competing, training. like I said, on a pro level, I've been at this for 20 years, but I started young, you know, in and out, because I would get in trouble. My mom would be like, no, we're taking you out of these martial arts programs. So I would say officially I started more like around 11, 12 years old. But since like 7 years old, I was in this. And, you know, I feel like it keeps me young, it keeps me hungry, and it also humbles me a lot, you know. The promoting has been amazing. I've been doing it now for like 3 years, and it's been times flying doing the promoting because it's so fun. Though there's roller coasters in that too. Main event getting hurt 2 days before a fight. Now we gotta like move the whole fucking card around and things like that, and it's a roller coaster of its own. Nothing compares to fighting. Nothing compares to getting ready for that fight. The amount of sacrifice. I've said in numerous interviews before, in every training camp, I got to push so much. I got to be a little bit more disciplined, especially now that I'm 38. Back then, I would sleep on the constant 4 to 5 hours and feel great. Now, if I don't get like 7 hours and a half of sleep minimum, I don't feel that good. So now my discipline has gone up, and in my discipline going up, I think I've become like a slightly better person. You know, I'm going to sleep earlier. I'm waking up earlier. I'm doing workouts. I'm eating cleaner, just all for that one and final goal, to get my hand raised on Saturday. So fighting to me is still the funnest shit, period.
And lastly, for me, do we have any special guest celebrities, athletes that you know of that are going to be coming out Saturday for your support?
All of them. All of them. My mom, my dad, my kids, those will be the biggest celebrities in the building. But aside from them, all of them, you know, I'm Miami, and more than anything, it's easy to sell combat nowadays. You know, who doesn't want to watch a fight? You know, you could be on your way to the Super Bowl or the soccer final championships. A fight breaks out in the parking lot, you're gonna stop and turn. Now you're talking about you got badasses that did this their whole life. This is all they train for is combat, and it's here in Miami where everybody wants to be here because we got the greatest city in the world, because we got the greatest policies in the world, and people could live here free. Everybody's here in Miami now, especially since Corona. The whole world got to see, like, man, Miami's a place to be at because of our freedom, our liberty that we give to our citizens here. So everybody will be there. And if they're not there, I mean, they're probably getting it on pay-per-view.
Jorge, over here, just one last quick question.
Yes,
you know, you're the king of Miami, man. Never been to Miami myself. You know, where do I need to go eat? Where do I need to go gamble?
What are you trying to eat?
Anything, wherever your best spot is.
What's anything? I mean, you want like hamburger?
Best taco.
Best taco? Chris, what's the name of that spot that we just found the other day? No, that's not the name. Coyo Taco's pretty damn good too, and La Taqueria Mombi is pretty good. It's right here in Design District. Coyo Taco, you can't go wrong with them. They're phenomenal. But if you're in Miami, you got to just eat like mainly Latin food, because we got the best Latin food in the country, you know. Peruvian food here is amazing. The Cuban food here is second to none. We make the best Cuban and Peruvian food because we have so many immigrants and people that come straight from there and set up shop here and cook. We got some pretty good steakhouses as well, brother, so it just depends what you want to eat, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, fellas.